Welcome, everybody. Today we have ourselves a student game, Kumar versus New in chess. And it's a game of two halves because the opening is masterful. All of what you're seeing right here is just right from the opening book. Other than H3, H3 is a bit odd, but it's not too bad, really. Because right now, playing H3 is a bit unusual because anyway, you're not worried about the knight coming in here since you can castle. But it doesn't seem to matter anyway because after white castles, black castles, and d6 comes in, you might anyway want to play h3 at this point to avoid bishop g4. And that probably suits your style of play. This does create perhaps unnecessary complications that you don't want to have to deal with. If you want to keep a more linear structure, then this is perhaps a better way to play. And now we get this awesome exchange. So black has these weaknesses, and it's very tempting at this point to go queen b3, right? Queen b3 has got to be the right move, attacking the soft squares, but not so fast. It turns out queen b3 is a minor inaccuracy because after queen b3, queen c8 just holds on to everything, you know? And even though you might try to ratchet up the pressure with the knight here too, it's pretty well defended by the rook. And then what will end up happening is that the pawn will come up, the knight will have to go back, and the momentum will start to shift in the opposite direction. So what should white do instead is b4. b4, bishop back, knight b d2, eventually knight c4, and maybe even swapping off or cramping the bishop up. Either way, white gets a lot of play, a lot of momentum and space on the queen side. So that's the right idea here. But nonetheless, queen b3 is not an awful move by any means. And the game has continued in such fashion. Remarkable play from both sides that the tension is being kept at high levels. So that's really good. And here, I would ordinarily think queen c2 is a nice way to just hold on to things. But white has played d4, which also manages to hold the tension just fine. Quick point to note here. Um, there is a tactical motif that you need to be aware of whenever you have h3 and a knight here. The knight can oftentimes sack over here, pawn takes back, and then the rook wins this knight. It doesn't work in this case because of the supporting knight here, but it's a motif you should keep in mind. So black now plays a spicy move, knight to the edge of the board. White rekindles over here, and at this point, there is now an opportunity to basically kind of trap the knight. This knight is close to being trapped, believe it or not. What you need to somehow figure out how to do is to get this pawn here and find a way to play b4 in time. But it's not easy to figure out the order on how to do this, because if you were to do this right away, it's not going to work out. Because capture, capture, knight capture, bishop capture, then knight captures here, and rook takes there. It's just a long sequence, long sequence, which ultimately is relatively even, maybe slightly decent for white, but it's not the tactic. The tactic is to kill the knight first. Okay, killing the knight first forces black to capture back with the rook, and then you play d5. It's counterintuitive, right? Why would you play it then? Because you're literally opening up the bishop on this diagonal. But the point is the same. You want this pawn here to prevent the knight from having an escape square. And now white has a very clear threat on his next move, and black doesn't have a really good answer. His best answer here is a move like c5, which is an ugly move. An ugly move to have to play, and white has pretty good follow-up after this. So, just a quick side note there on one of the possibilities in this position after queen e8. White, however, played the move e5, which is a bit odd, but it's a bit odd. It's not really in the spirit of the game. Maybe he's trying to prevent black from playing a move like this, but even that wouldn't really matter because you have enough firepower supporting it. So anyway, this has gone like this, and now black's really ratcheting up the pressure, so white dilutes the tension away, moves the queen to the center, and now white really needs to capture here, and then capture here with check, dilute off the tension of the queens, and try to win the endgame. That should be the plan here. However, when you're under pressure, it's very common to make errors, and g3 is an error. It's a big error because it doesn't do anything. You can't capture because the queen pin is still alive. If you captured here, rook just takes back, and again, you can't capture because the queen pin is still alive. So it's a pointless move at the end of the day, g3. Black, however, doesn't see this. He just goes back. Okay, it's a low-level rated game, so you know what to expect. But just for the fans, we're going to give the masterclass line, knight c4. Knight c4, knight takes, and then the rook takes. And now white is in big trouble, big trouble, because no matter what he does, he's going to end up in a lot of shit. It's not easy to play this, however, with black, let me tell you. So it's quite interesting tactically. There are two real possibilities, queen here and queen here. If the queen goes here, for example, then rook can capture here, and you kind of dilute off the two rooks for the queen. But black has a lovely check at the end of it that wins the knight and therefore keeps a strong winning advantage. Not an easy final move, at least to spot there. On the other hand, if white goes here, inviting the trade of queens, then black can go for the jugular right away. And now, in order to have the confidence to play a move like this, you have to know that you're not going to play this next, but you're going to play something else instead. Pause the video and try to find out what the next move is. You guessed it, bishop sacrifice. Bishop sacrifice. Now, white has to capture back here. And the real point of this is that now black can capture here and white can no longer come back to defend with his queen. But instead, white has to go here and then you check him again, one more round, and then you get your rook in here and it's pretty much mate after that, or heavy material loss or something. So, just a side note. But anyway, we had this situation, and right when white's about to take the pawn, we get a mouse slip. And at this point, the game's pretty much over. You lose the queen, you're pretty much going to lose the game. But however, white continues to fight on. And as I watched this game, I couldn't help but think of Sgt Elias, whom I titled this video after. Because Kumar was Sgt Elias on this occasion. And in case you don't know who Sgt Elias is, we're going to show you. So yeah, finally black resigned, but this was Sgt Elias. Running away after a lot of attacks. iconic movie. Oliver Stone, what a genius, what a pro. Oliver Stone movies, I recommend you follow up on him. Follow up on his content. He's a great, he knows a lot of good stuff that's going on. So, Oliver Stone for the win. And that's all for now, Sergeant Elias.